Everybody mic up.
I'd like to call our town council meeting to order, please. Shall we pray? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, as we assemble here tonight, let us truly be mindful of the many blessings that we have, dear Lord. And dear Lord, let us be mindful of the season and what it truly means to each and every one of us here tonight and those that are watching and those around the world. As we go forward, dear Lord, let us do it in a mindful way, one that would be pleasing to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Before we get started, we've had already a good evening. We swore in our two new council members, Ms. Ashley Hardy and Mr. Michael Smith. We also swore in who won their re-election, Lily Fagans-Moon to my left and Mike Moody to my right. I want to thank each and every one of them for their dedication and willingness to serve our community. I want to take this opportunity also to recognize Alex Graham. Alex, we appreciate your time and work and dedication and contribution to our council, and we mean that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr.
Crocker is not with us tonight. He is in a warmer environment, and that's all that I will say. He is enjoying himself, so he's not able to attend tonight. So, roll call, Anna.
Randy Crocker is absent. Lily Fagans-Boone.
Present.
Alex Graham.
Here.
Gavin Honeycutt.
Present.
Dolores Lester.
Here.
Mike Moody.
Here.
Shep Moss.
Here.
And Joseph Taylor.
Here.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Council, you may want to take some notes. We have some amendments to the agenda. So I will start out with, under citizens to address council, we will remove 7B. Mr. Baskerville asked it to be removed. We will add, I guess we would call it 7C. Ms. Terry Walker will be here to update us on Hometown Christmas. Under citizens to address council, we will add Steve High to address council. So we have 4 amendments. Have I covered them? We have removed 7B and 8A. 8A also is under public hearing in regards to the developer requesting rezone. The developer made that request today, so at his request, he has been asked to be removed from the public hearing in regards to rezoning. So I think that is the 4 amendments. Have I covered them to everybody's satisfaction? Okay. So council, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
You may, for those who are here for the 8A, which is involving Butterworth Lane, that one will not be done tonight. Just to let you know, but you're more than welcome to stay.
And that was in my reference to my earlier comment about the developer made that request today to be removed. Thank you. Okay, council, in your packet was the minutes. We had a special meeting on November the 14th. May I have a motion for approval of those minutes?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Also in your packet, council, was the minutes from our regular meeting on November the 14th. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, we have several people we would like to recognize with service awards tonight. We have 4 individuals who have celebrated 5 years of service in the last 6 months. And I don't believe any of them are here, but they are Ethan Atkinson and James Crawford from our police department, Brent Morris, our business development manager, and Ryan Smith in our Parks and Grounds division. So all of them celebrated 5 years of service in the last 6 months. And recognizing folks for 20 years of service, I do not believe Marvin Daly is here, but he celebrated his 20-year anniversary in October, and we do have 2 folks that are here with us. And first, I'd like to ask Anna to stand, if you will. And in October, Anna celebrated her 20th anniversary with the town. And this certificate says, in appreciation and recognition for continuous and loyal service, we present this certificate to Anna B. Cratch for 20 years of service as of October 2022. And her certificate does not fully recognize all that she does. And I can't put it into words. So thank you for all that you do for our town each and every day and for so long.
Thank you. Thank
That's all right. And the second person who is with us here tonight, who is also celebrating 20 years as of July, is Daniel Martin. Daniel, here. Say the same thing except the names have been changed. So I'm going to read all of this again. But for those of you who have never been to our wastewater treatment plant, it is the most efficient, well-run wastewater treatment plant you'll find anywhere. And thanks in large part to Daniel, who is the lab manager there and wears so many hats. And again, words can't adequately describe all that you do, but thank you so much for all that you do every day and what you have done for so many years. And congratulations on your 20-year award.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Hearings?
I'm sorry,
Go ahead, public hearings.
citizens
To address council there
yeah.
first, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, so council, next on the agenda is citizens to address council. I remind those participating limited to 3 minutes. I think the first individual is Ella Van Dyke. If you would come to the microphone, ma'am, and state your name, please.
Ella Van Dyke.
Yes, ma'am.
I am with Brown's Towing and Automotive on West Main Street. We're here to ask if the town would consider moving the 2-hour parking on the south side of the street to unlimited parking for our use at the garage and so forth, and leave the 2-hour parking on the north side as it is. That way it would open up North Brunswick to where people can see coming in and out there with the traffic and so forth without any hesitation. Because we do have some cars that are parked overnight and maybe a day or two, and it would be easier for us if we could park on the south side of the street and open up the north side so that, you know, people can view coming out of Brunswick Avenue.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for your time, okay? Okay. Council, do you have any questions to staff in regards to the request?
I do. So, Mr. Town Manager, with respect to the last meeting, there was a motion to prohibit parking on the south side and have no time limit on the north side.
That's correct.
So make sure we're clear as to what's been suggested, and thank you, ma'am, for presenting that information, the request at least. So to clarify that for us, at least the direction. So the new request, at least by the citizen, is to...
Okay, I spoke with Ms. Van Dyke and with George Brown a few days ago.
All right.
And what we were suggesting is that we flip-flop what we discussed last month. And that would be to allow unlimited parking on the south side, but no parking on the right side. I think is what I believe that's what we talked about. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So no parking on the right side, which is the same side of the road as the garage, which is the north side, and then unlimited parking on the south side of the street.
So let me.
No restrictions.
All right, so let me ask with respect to that, not so much intersection, but it's very close to one. So, and you may be of some help, Ms. Van Dyke, is someone's backing out of your garage, okay?
Yes, sir.
Tell me how that can be done safely.
If you, allow us to use the south side with unlimited parking, that will help us greatly because we can then back out without, any hesitation from vehicles or anything setting on the north side.
Okay.
That would open up the street in both directions so we can see oncoming traffic. So that would help us with the backing in and out of the facility.
2 questions. I'm gonna ask the chief. What is being proposed sounds like it might be a problem solver as far as the tightness of driving down that street. Does that sound good to you? Parking on one side?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Second question, Mr. Attorney Howard.
Yes, sir.
This came up during our last session, and the motion failed. And correct me if I'm wrong, it can be revoted on tonight, provided council has a unanimous vote to allow it to be revoted on tonight, correct?
Correct. Once an item, Mr. Mayor, once an item has been voted on and it's defeated, there has to be a year period of cooling off, where then you can re-raise the same issue again.
So as a procedural matter, we would have to have a motion to revote or to reconsider. That would have to pass unanimous. And then once that passes, if it passes, then we could have another motion to allow parking on the south side and no parking on the north side, correct?
Correct.
That is if what's being requested or moved for tonight is identical to what was requested last time. Now, to that point, Mr. Police Chief, let me ask you one more question. North Brunswick Avenue intersects very close to that, okay, the end of it as you approach DMV, I believe. Do you believe there's enough clearance or line of sight as you're at what I believe is a stop sign, that if a vehicle's backing out of the garage, there is enough view or line of sight for someone either going straight or turning nearby? Does that seem to be safe to you? I know this is a hypothetical and you're picturing it in your mind, but.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what she's suggesting is probably the safest thing we could do.
And so thank you, appreciate that. If the motion tonight is actually the opposite, that we would prohibit parking on the north side and leave parking unlimited on the south side, that would be a new motion and appropriate for new business. Is that correct, Mr. Town Attorney?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we don't have this on the agenda as an item, so we would need to amend the agenda to include this as an item for discussion and voting.
Okay.
And once on the agenda, then if the motion is not the same as it was at the prior meeting where it was defeated, then it's not a reconsideration, it's just a matter of new business.
Can that fall under other business at the end of the meeting?
That is certainly the pleasure, Mr. Mayor, of the council where they would like to place it on the agenda.
But that is allowable, correct?
Yes.
All right. I do have one other question, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Van Dyke, how long have you been working, Mayor?
I've been employed a year.
Okay. Ms. Moore, and I guess I could ask this question, Ms. Brown, too. To your knowledge, have there ever been any accidents with anyone backing out of the garage that have been hit? Or any? Okay. All right. Thank you.
If, Mr. Mayor, if we have further questions about this, do you want us to hold them until we get to other business?
Yes.
Gotcha.
In light of the discussion, Mr. Mayor, I would move to amend the agenda this evening to add to number 13 under other business, the matter of parking on the north side at the intersection. What's the intersection? What are the streets, Mr. Town Manager? Brunswick and Main. To address parking regulations at that intersection. I would move to amend the agenda accordingly at number 13.
Okay. Under other. Okay. Any discussion?
Under other business, yes, sir.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Terry Walker.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Town Council. I'm here on the behalf of the Chamber of Commerce. I just wanted to tell you all, we had a successful hometown Christmas. Thank the town for all the support, helping get set up with stuff. I think, just about almost all council members between Friday night at the tree lighting, Saturday after the rain finally cleared, on the toboggan and so forth, and then Sunday at the Christmas parade. But everything was wonderful. We couldn't do it without the town support, and I just want to thank you all for your help and your support of the chamber. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Walker, I'd like to share a story with you that you can share with your chamber board.
Okay.
While waiting with my granddaughter at the carousel after the tree light, there was a couple that came up from Roanoke Rapids. And coincidentally, he worked for the town of Roanoke Rapids and the municipalities. And he explained to me how appreciative that he was and how excited that his daughter specifically asked to come to South Hill that night versus the tree lighting in Roanoke Rapids. So I would appreciate you sharing that story, because I think that was a true testimony of what people have seen in the past in their experience, and it was a pleasant one, and then what they saw the other night.
Thank you. We've heard nothing but great comments on it, especially the town, the polls that we did. So just everything that we asked for was approved, and we really appreciate that and enjoyed everything that weekend.
Well, can I put you on the spot, ma'am? Because I have been asked several times. I know it's an easy question. When would you like for those watching tonight, when would you like the decorations appropriately removed from the post?
It's on our flyer. I'm not sure, but I think it's January 2nd or so. There's a date. I'll have to look back, but it's early part of January that we asked that the decorations stay up until.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Make sure you get your gnome down by then.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to echo, if I can, to Ms. Walker, what a bang-up job the chamber did on not only Hometown Christmas, but what you continue to do for our community and our local businesses. And to have a community our size with a chamber this active and this strong really goes a lot to y'all's credit. And to our town workers and staff, I was there 75% of Hometown Christmas probably. Our town staff did just a tremendous bang-up job from setup to take down. And it really, really is a community effort to get this done. And everybody just did a bang-up job. So kudos to everybody involved. It was great.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. High, you'll come up and state your name at the microphone for me, please, sir.
All right, my name is Steve High. I'm a resident of South Hill and also the owner of the property at 235 East Atlantic Street. I'm here tonight to speak to you regarding the East Atlantic Street Drainage Improvements project that began on October the 11th and completed in early November. Prior to the project beginning, I was contacted by C.J. Dean in the winter saying the project would happen and it would require Atlantic Street to be shut down. Originally, it was hoped to be done in the springtime, but it appears the project was delayed due to materials being available till the fall. On October 4th, my office was contacted by Alan Elliott, and he stated that East Atlantic Street would be closed on the 11th through that week, and that he asked us to inform our clients to use the High School Street entrance rather than Atlantic Street because it wouldn't be available, and he did not speak to me directly. These were the only two contacts with me or my office prior to the beginning of the construction project on October 11th. On October 11th, the construction project began, and the contractor in the town began entering our property without consent. You have before you a handout of pictures that shows some of the activity on the property. I started with October 18th, as that is when I realized it was best to memorialize the situation. On October 20th, due to heavy activity on the property, I made a call to C.J. Dean to ask that he come meet with me regarding the project. That was the first contact I had with the town, which I had to initiate regarding the use of the property by the town or the contractor. CJ put the burden of notification on the contractor and the blame. He then contacted the contractor at my request to have him give me a call. After my discussion with the contractor, we came to an agreement as to how the property would be used through the remainder of the project. But I'd like to remind you, at this time, this was the Town of South Hill project that was awarded on January 10th, 2022 in this very meeting. To be clear, the town is the owner of the project, not the contractor. The last date of entry to the property was on November 4th, after our parking lot and driveway was restored to pre-construction condition. On November 9th, Mr. Callis came to my office to apologize for how things went down during the construction of the project. The main reason I'm here tonight is to make you aware of this situation and ask for your assistance in helping prevent this type of inverse condemnation of property from happening to any other property owner in the future. You can do this by tasking the appropriate committee to establish policies to communicate with affected property owners during town repair and improvement projects. I suggest these communications should be in writing and should list the expectations of the use of the property, the time frame, and then if any compensation is needed. VDOT, for example, has a right of entry communication that is sent certified to any property owner prior to entry by even a survey crew before a project starts. To conclude, I hope that you take this issue seriously, as an inverse condemnation of property can cause a property owner to bring suit upon the town. Neither the property owners of the town or the town should be put in a position to have to deal with the expenses of an unnecessary legal battle that can be prevented with communication from the beginning. Please work to make improvements from this situation rather than just apologizing and moving on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question.
To staff.
Okay.
Any questions to staff?
Well, yeah, Mr. Callis has, to your knowledge, everything has been rectified and completed and finished with that project?
To my knowledge, yes.
To your knowledge, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, we have two public hearings tonight, both with respect to Microsoft. The first has to do with a partial vacation of Butt Street. And the notice of public hearing was published in the November 23rd and November 30th editions of the Enterprise. And just as a reminder, under Virginia law, a right-of-way vacation generally follows 3 steps. We appoint a 3-person committee to view the property and report on any potential issues arising from the vacation of the right-of-way. We hold a public hearing to hear any comments, which we're doing now, and then we adopt an ordinance that vacates the right-of-way. And all expenses related to the vacation are to be borne by the parties making the request, in this case, Microsoft. And what they have requested is the vacation of 0.84 acres at the end of Butt Street, which would eliminate the cul-de-sac at the end of that street. But in return, they will build a new cul-de-sac of 0.28 acres at the terminus of where the new street would end. So at this time, I would like to open the public hearing. And seeing that there will be no comments, I'll close the public hearing. And the 3-person committee has reported that the vacation will not create any adverse conditions.
Does the sewer easement, the temporary sewer easement there, does that come into play at all regarding this? Not at all? Okay.
No, this is just a street vacation. It doesn't affect any easements. And so we're asking for 2 motions. One is to adopt the ordinance of vacation, and then because a certain length of that street will no longer be in our street system for VDOT street maintenance purposes, that we amend our inventory to reflect that.
You need to have 2 motions?
2 motions, yes.
Council, I move to adopt the ordinance of vacation for the portion of Butt Street identified on the plat prepared by B&B Consultants.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes. Is this B and C, Mr. Callis? Is this letter B and C that you're asking for?
No, sir, this is just B.
So it's not spelled out in B. Can you please read it out loud again, what it is again that you're doing?
Okay.
Or that you're asking for?
The public hearing is the Butt Street partial vacation.
But you said it was a second part to it that I don't see.
No,
Somebody said it was a
on
second
the
part.
recommended motion, there are two motions there.
Proposed ordinance for adoption regarding vacation of a portion of Butt Street. Where's the other motion?
Under recommended motion, on your memo that says, this memo,
This to do with VDOT and lane mileage.
It's right under.
this is just B. There's another public hearing to be held, which is C.
Oh, so what are you asking? Somebody said, are we voting on one, letter B only at this point?
We're on item B, yes, sir. There are
Thank
two
you.
motions under item B.
Thank you. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. It's been a long month.
Sir?
It's been a really long month for me. So again, you're saying there's two motions under letter B. I see one motion unless you have something that I do not have. I don't have that on my agenda.
It's actually in your packet itself.
It's in the packet itself. Okay, I'm just reading off of
The
the
agenda.
No,
agenda.
This is in the packet.
Okay.
Yeah, this is in the packet.
All right, I hadn't forwarded it all the way down.
Sir?
I said I hadn't forwarded it all the way down. I just want to make sure I don't get hung up later. So that's why I just want to make sure that this was right. So yes, I'm good now.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
And we have a motion and a second.
We do.
Okay.
And a roll call.
Any discussion? Any further discussion? Okay. Roll call, Anna?
Crocker is absent. Baggins Boone.
Yes.
Graham.
Yes.
Honeycutt.
Yes.
Luster.
Yes.
Moody.
Yes.
Moss.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
And then the second motion,
I further move to amend the Butt Street lane mileage in the VDOT street maintenance inventory to reflect the street vacation and cul-de-sac changes.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Roll call, Anna?
Crocker is absent. Baggins Boone.
Yes.
Graham.
Yes.
Honeycutt.
Yes.
Luster.
Yes.
Moody.
Yes.
Moss.
Yes.
And Taylor.
Yes.
And Anna, for clarification, it will be in the minutes, who made up the three-person committee? Would that be?
It can be if you.
Yeah, I'd like that to be added to
Very
the
good.
minutes.
For the record, do we know who was on that committee? Is that
Yes, yeah, I appointed the committee. It was Holly McFarland, Woody Oakley, and Stuart Taylor.
okay? Thank you.
okay, the second public hearing involves another request from Microsoft Corporation, and it involves a boundary line change. They own a tract of land that's 15.87 acres that's at the intersection of Country Lane and Rocky Branch Road. And that parcel is currently not in the town limits. It's all in Mecklenburg County. And they have requested a boundary line change that would allow incorporation of that into our town. And at our November 14th meeting, council approved advertisement for tonight's public hearing. And it was advertised on November 23rd and 30th. Now, for this boundary line change to take place, there has to be an agreement by both the town and the county. And so we would need to understand what the results of the county public hearing would be, which we do not know yet, but Wayne Carter anticipates that the county will fully support this request. So tonight, after the public hearing, we would move for adoption of the resolution. And should the county not approve it, it won't go anywhere. Should they approve it, we can proceed. So at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for questions or comments. Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing.
Council.
I have a question, Mr. Town Manager. I know the county will need to approve this as its own entity, but will this transaction affect the taxation agreement that's been entered into between the county and the town with regard to Microsoft operations and tax revenues therefrom?
This will be part, I don't think it will affect the agreement. The fact that it's in town just means that the agreement will apply to this additional property that is now in town, much like the other two industrial parks.
I think you addressed that last month, if I remember correctly.
Sir?
I think you addressed that last month, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of the resolution to approve the agreement of boundary line change by and between Mecklenburg County, Virginia, and Town of South Hill, Virginia, to incorporate a 15.87 acre tract along Country Lane currently owned by Microsoft into the Town of South Hill.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. So, Mr. Callis, you said that this is currently owned by the county of Mecklenburg, correct? This property?
It's in Mecklenburg County, not in the town. It's not owned by Mecklenburg County.
But it's in the county.
It's
I'm
in the
sorry, it's in
county,
Mecklenburg
yes.
County is what I meant to say.
Yes.
Okay. And again, if the Board of Supervisors don't pass this, then whatever we do tonight would be
Moot.
Would be mute. Okay. All right.
Is there a reason to re-jurisdiction this into the town limits?
Microsoft did not give a reason, but typically if you're within the town limits, you avail yourselves of additional public service protections like fire and rescue and police, and it may have some impact on their insurance rates, but they did not give a specific reason.
The public is closed, I'm sorry.
Now, in doing so, because you mentioned fire, I would certainly think that you have talked about this with our fire chief to make sure that we're equipped to be able to take on more responsibility.
It's already within our
in our response in our
yes.
district.
I did
Okay.
not talk with the fire chief, but I talked with the police chief about additional resources, and none would be required. But it's already in our area, within our fire area.
Is already in the fire. I got you.
Any other further discussion? Okay. Roll call, Anna?
Crocker is absent. Fagan Spoon,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Honeycutt,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Moss,
Yes.
and Taylor.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, one question, please. If I have, and I'm not sure the proper protocol, if I have more questions concerning Mr. Hyde's situation, when can that be addressed on this agenda?
This should be directed towards staff
Okay,
at any point, I would say, at any point in time, I mean, if it can be done individually, it can be added to the agenda at the next meeting.
I mean, can it be added to under other business?
Anything can be added, yes.
Does it need to be on the agenda to revisit that?
I think it should be added just like we did the other.
Okay.
If we want to add it to other.
Well, Mr. Mayor, if I can,
Obviously, you can ask Mr. Mayor anything to the agenda, but I'm thinking that it may not be ripe yet for discussion. I think there's a lot of questions that came up tonight that you probably would want staff to research so that they would be able to give you a full understanding of the background.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Estes, was this the same information that we were asking Mrs. Van Dyke earlier with her issue as well, addressing her in a public forum? We were asking her some of the same things. She was asking for something to be made that could have been looked into and addressed at a later date with some issues. Is that the same thing? I'm asking yes or no. That's a yes or no answer.
Is that a legal question?
I'm asking you yes or no. We did it with Mrs. Van Dyke. We have a citizen here who is addressing as well. Yes or no, is it different?
Mr. Mayor, I would suggest that it is different.
Okay. I disagree.
so my question is, if I have questions referring back to that, what is the proper procedure?
I would recommend visiting with town staff, and then if it needs to be added to the agenda at the next meeting, we do so.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that I know. So moving forward, we will pick and choose with what we will do with citizens and pick and choose what we will address with citizens in an open forum, because that's what we're doing now.
I don't know, I don't agree with the term pick and choose. I think what we're saying is that in this case here, it was the first time it had been brought to the attention of the council. And so what my opinion is that we do our due diligence and bring it up at the next council meeting.
Ma'am, Councilman Moss, if you will email whatever questions you have to me with a copy to CJ Dean, we will.
I'll be glad to. I'll communicate it with you, okay?
That'd be fine.
And
Just
then you
email
can
them to
disseminate
me.
it however you want to.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
The first item I have tonight is an appropriation of VDOT street maintenance funds. The Virginia Department of Transportation has notified the town of an increase in the amount of street maintenance funds approved for the current fiscal year. Due to an increase in the rates per lane mile and approval of additional lane miles effective July 1, 2022, the town expects to receive additional funding for the current fiscal year in the amount of $215,598. These funds must be used for street maintenance activities per VDOT. Staff recommends using the funds for additional paving to be completed in the current fiscal year. So I would ask that you appropriate funds in the amount of $215,598 for the stated purpose.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
The next item is an additional South Hill Volunteer Fire Department appropriation. As you all are aware, the town pays an annual contribution for emergency call responses to the South Hill Volunteer Fire Department. The fire department in turn pays its members $10 per call for responses. The payment to the members is based on individual call responses. As part of the town's fiscal year 2022-23 budget, the South Hill Volunteer Fire Department requested and council approved funding a $120,000 contribution for responding to fire calls. On July 5th of this year, I received a check request for round one of this funding for calls from December 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. The amount requested was $69,250, leaving a balance of $50,750 in the budget. On December 1, I received a request from Fire Chief Michael Vaughn with supporting information for a contribution of $57,160 for calls from July 1, 2022 through November 30th of 2022. These requests total $126,410, which is $6,410 more than was requested for budget purposes. As it is not expected that the fire department can absorb this in their current year budget, council will need to appropriate additional funds so that the volunteer members can be fully paid for all calls to which they respond, and that payment would be made in January, as we discussed, I don't know, several months ago.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank the fire department and its members who are risking life and limb throughout the year to not just to address the needs of our immediate community, but also risk life and limb basically for the eastern part of the county. I also want to thank the citizens of South Hill whose tax dollars are significantly being contributed towards the response that our fire department is offering towards the eastern side of Mecklenburg County. Thank you very much.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to say that I concur with Councilman Taylor, and we really do appreciate the work that our fire department does, and kudos and respect.
We thank y'all very much for everything you do for us.
You're welcome.
Okay, and the last item I have is regarding the investment. As part of the paperwork required by First Citizens Bank for the investment of funds, an investment policy statement must be approved by Town Council. The purpose of the investment policy statement is to establish a clear understanding between the parties. This statement incorporates the statutory guidelines in the Code of Virginia known as the Investment of Public Funds Act. As part of the FY24 budget process, staff plans to draft an all-encompassing financial policy guideline for approval by council, which will address budget policies, investments, debt issuance, etc. Financial policy guidelines approved by the council should eliminate the need for any future requests of this type, because this is just for this one investment that we are doing for Citizens Bank.
Move to approve the investment policy statement as presented.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. Mr. Estes, have you, this is a 7-page document, 6 and change. Have you vetted this? I read through it. I want to make sure that you have vetted this as well. I understand it's First Citizens document,
That's right.
but we're signing it. Have you vetted it?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I mean, it is a policy statement, so obviously you all can make changes to that policy at any time. But the policy is consistent with Virginia law, so I have reviewed it.
You have vetted it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Anna, we have a motion in a second?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, council, in your packet are reports for November. I would look for a motion to accept as presented.
So moved.
Second.
In discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Committee reports? Okay. Under appointments, the term of Lily Fagans Boone as an elected official on the SPDC will expire on December the 31st of 2022. Elected officials serve for the term they are elected. Ms. Fagans Boone has been contacted and agreed to serve another 4-year term commencing January 1, 2023 and ending December 31, 2026. I'd like a motion for acceptance.
So moved.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, council. Okay, I think we had some other business to address.
Yes.
Council?
Mr. Mayor, we heard, well, going back to last month's meeting regarding that motion, the discussion, as we heard from the public today, and input from our town staff, I would present under the number 13 of the business a new motion. Make sure I get the verbiage correct. To prohibit parking on the north side of West Main Street from Mecklenburg Avenue to Lunenburg Avenue, with no prohibition of parking on the south side of West Main Street, as has been discussed this evening.
And that's in the form of motion, Councilman?
It is.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion?
Question. If I'm not mistaken, and I thought Mrs. Van Dyke said unlimited parking is what she was requesting. I know that's different from Councilman Taylor's motion, but does this address what her concern was, or maybe I misheard it? I thought she said unlimited parking.
She did.
She did.
She did.
Which is what I moved.
Yeah, he said
That's my
no,
motion.
no restriction.
No restriction.
Yeah, he said no restriction.
She actually mentioned 2-hour parking. And my motion was unlimited.
Okay.
One other question, if I may. Now, that's gonna take it to Lunenburg Avenue, so if anything goes in the old tobacco museum, that's gonna eliminate parking in front of that. Is that what you wanna do? You wanna go that far with it? You're
I
taking
do.
the old
I
pawn
do.
shop?
We'll just have to get there
You're
first.
taking,
I mean, I'm not being sarcastic. I mean, we're not gonna, it's not Brown's parking space, as I phrased at the last meeting. It's no individual and no business's parking space. The parking's available for whomever gets there first.
but you're gonna eliminate parking on that side of the road all the way towards the tobacco museum. So the pawn shop that was there, if a business were to relocate there, they would not have any parking in front of it.
And again, my initial concern was safety, which
Park on the other
the
side.
chief has indicated will accomplish that.
They park on the DMV side.
Yeah. They park on that side.
With the entrances coming in under the DMV, is it gonna be enough room for, I'm just saying, okay.
There's several entrances in and out of DMV park.
You have a comment?
So that means no parking in front of the pawn shop. If I wanted to go into that store, I can't park there to go.
Cross
to that
street,
store. I
you have to park cross street, walk cross street.
It's, We requested it from all the way to Lunenburg, primarily because it's a safety issue. And what we'd like to do is if this is approved, is go in and eradicate the double yellow lines and repaint them so that it's very clear where people can and cannot park inside it from Mecklenburg all the way to Lunenburg.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I understand the safety aspect of it, but we have heard from Chief of Police, there's no accidents there. We have heard from the property owner, she knows of no accidents there. And I guess my question is, going back to last month, is where I think this motion went awry or sideways. Have all of these property and business owners on that strip, have they all been contacted? Have we done our due diligence? We just heard another citizen tonight complain that he wasn't contacted. I'm not saying I'm against the motion. I want to make sure that we are not limiting these opportunities for our local businesses. So we're saying safety issues, yet none can be cited.
Who owns the pawn shop building?
Mr. Arnold, I believe, owns
Who?
it. Mr. Arnold, and I have not spoken with him, but I have reached out.
So he hasn't said yea or nay whether or not he would want parking in front of his building?
No. CDA has been reached out to, though. They own the other building.
Now, were they reached out in writing?
No, I just called.
Did they take a vote?
No, not to my knowledge. I don't know.
That's
But
my
again,
only concern is the due diligence part,
And I
not
understand
disputing
that.
what Councilman Taylor's proposing.
I understand that, but I think it's important for the council to understand we have lots of big vehicles that leave the town shop and come down that road. The sewer jetter, the garbage trucks, and others. When there are cars parked on both sides of the street, those vehicles cannot pass through there if another vehicle is traveling along the way. It's also a challenge for the fire engines to get through there should something happen like that. So this is a safety issue. And the other thing that can probably be done is, if we're going to make it no parking, it can be from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. so that if something is going on in the evening at a restaurant, if the businesses are not open, people could park there. It still runs into the same safety issues with the fire department, though, trying to get an engine through there.
But what are the safety incidents, I guess, is what I'm having heartburn with. And I'm not trying to be argumentative. We're throwing around the word safety, and yet we have no reports. We have no statistics to back it up. And we still have not, even after 30 days of this council questioning very strongly last month about the property owners being contacted, apparently they still have not been done so.
This was just brought up on last week.
No, sir, we voted on this last month.
No, this motion, it just came up late last week, like Friday, and I spoke with Ms. Van Dyke and George Brown around noon on Friday. That's when it all came up.
And I appreciate that effort. But there's more than they're not the only property owner there is what concerns me, and that is a commercial district.
Yeah.
You know, I want to make sure we're doing our due diligence on this notification. Again, we've got a citizen here tonight that's saying, I was not notified properly.
There are 4 property owners right there. DMV excluded because they have their own parking lot. Southside Planning District, 5. Southside Planning District Commission, Councilman Graham, the Browns, the CDA, and then the pawn shop.
Jimmy Martin? I don't know who owns that. I don't know who owns that property, but
that fronts on Mecklenburg Avenue. I didn't talk to Jimmy, but it fronts on Mecklenburg Avenue.
Yes, I know he owns the parcel right behind his building where the gates used to open up right there that drove in.
Maybe it's on Mecklenburg Avenue, but I reached out to the PDC. I spoke with the Browns. I did all that before Friday when all this came up. So there are a couple that I have not spoken to directly.
And then, of course, I understand they're a business, but isn't it 2-hour parking there? I mean, there's vehicles everywhere over there, and I realize that's a business, but, you know, if they're parking on the street and some vehicles don't have tags on them, and I'm not saying those vehicles on the street, but that's creating a lot of this problem. It's great for them that their business is that busy. I'm happy for them, but it's also creating some of this problem.
Chief, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think Councilman Moss just misunderstood my comment. We have had accidents at that intersection. We haven't had any accidents related to the Browns backing in and out of that.
Gotcha.
Process. So that intersection, we have had accidents there, not related to their business.
Thank you for clarifying that, Chief.
Okay, we have a motion, correct, Anna? We do not have a second?
And a second.
We do have a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, Anna.
Crocker is absent. Fagan Spoon.
Yeah.
Graham.
No.
Honeycutt.
No.
Lester.
Yes.
Moody.
Yes.
Moss.
No.
And Taylor.
Yes.
That's 4 yeses, 3 nos, 1 absent.
Motion carried. Those are watching. Okay. All
When
right.
does that take effect? When would that take effect? To get signage and street done and that kind of stuff?
It can take effect tomorrow. But we would certainly go, we've got to, whenever we can change the
I
sign.
got you. Maybe in January? Are you thinking getting through the holidays?
Certainly before the end of January.
Okay.
But as long as we have the signs, and we'll talk to those other folks. So,
And
Jimmy and Tommy are.
And Mayor, for the record, and for the Browns, you know, I voted no because all the residents on that street were not contacted, and I just have a problem doing that if everybody doesn't have the same clarification that you all have. So that's the reason why I voted the way I did.
Concur.
All right. Okay. Meeting adjourned.
I'd like to mention one thing. The county and the Southside Planning District Commission lost a longtime valued member, Glancy Spain, passed away recently. His funeral was yesterday. So should you see his spouse, I spoke to her, but please extend your condolences. Mr. Spain did a fine job for us.
Thank you, Sheriff.